That would have been something I would totally do.
Oh, I've done it like a couple times but it's like I notice it like 10 seconds into the interview, and it's like, oh wait, I got to record and I got to do my intro again.
Well, that actually gives me the opportunity because I have a feeling, it's probably because you're like on my left on the screen, and I'm probably just like my eyes are going the wrong way for half the video. So like, should I be looking straight like at myself or up at the camera?
Like, looking at yourself is good. Yeah, you're fine there.
All right.
Fuck. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
Cool.
All right, let's do it. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Comics with George Michail. Really quick, if you like this kind of content, subscribe and tell a friend about it. Today, my guest is Vernon Smith. Vernon's got a new book from Action Lab called Bigfoot Frankenstein. Vernon, thanks so much for being on the show.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Vernon, you're a comic book artist. You also do children's books, and I wanted to talk to you today about what do you look for when you're when a writer approaches you and you're thinking about maybe taking on a project. So what kind of aspects in the writer are you looking at to make your decision?
Mainly two things. One is, the kind of stuff that they write, like if it's well written, if it's like looks like it'll be fun to draw, basically, because I'm going to be sitting there at the drawing table drawing it for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week. So it's got to be something that isn't just going to bore me out of my skull or be like, all right, what's next? And then also just kind of how they are to get along with. And like with the writer of Bigfoot Frankenstein, he'd hit me up on Facebook, just like added me as a friend, and I recognized the name and saw that I had a book of his, like a story that he had written for an anthology called Oxymoron, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this guy's story. It was like really cool, and then when he like looked at some samples of my art, and he was like, oh, I've got a couple of stories that I'm doing, and one of them I think would like really fit with you. And I was like, all right, cool. So we sent stuff over, and I was like, yeah, this looks like it would be fun to draw. And he and I just like got along great. He was really cool to work with, like with pitching stuff back and forth. As if there were any edits, he was cool about stuff. So yeah, finding someone that writes stuff that looks like it'd be fun to draw, cool to draw, challenges you to draw. Like it's like, oh wow, I've never really done it this way, because there's things that I've written and drawn. And so to get someone else's perspective, like I'm not just playing to my own strengths, and have somebody writing things that are fun and cool to draw, and then also they're fun to get along with personally. Those are the two main things I look for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important for writers to write for artists. Realize that this is a visual medium, and so artists don't like to just necessarily draw a bunch of talking heads for pages on end. And so if you guys are writing your comic book script, maybe think about having your characters do something while they're having that exposition, while you're kind of laying out, the characters are laying out their plan or their ambitions or what they're doing. Maybe instead of just having them sitting on a log, have them fighting monsters and talking about like, okay, well, we've got to go rescue the princess, and we got to break down the drawbridge, and we got to fight the dragon. But while they're making their plan, they're battling goblins or things like that. So it's not just a talking scene; there's action mixed in with the plan.
Right. Yeah, and even if it's something like, if they can't be directly in the action, like have them doing something interesting, like I'm making a souffle. This is how you make a souffle, apparently. I don't know, but just something to where it's not just a chum, 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 like, yeah. Unless that's for the sake of pacing and storytelling, where you're trying to break up the action, maybe. But yeah, just make it interesting to draw. Think about what you would want to look at if you were reading the comic or watching this on the screen. So that if you are kind of having something like that, give the artist some direction on like, oh, here's how you can jazz it up, like you said, have them doing something else. Yeah.
I think too, like a lot of people that start making comics, they kind of go with like their first idea. I'm a few years into doing this now, and I've really realized that like the creative process takes a long time. Making a 5-6 issue miniseries can be a year, 2 years, easy.
Yeah.
Just and then seeing that, and then finding distribution and getting it out, and and then you're selling it at conventions. This is a long-term investment, a long-term plan. And so before you approach an artist, I would recommend writing your series to completion. You know what I mean? Like you got a 5-issue series. Maybe don't, like, after you get the first issue knocked out. Maybe because the things can start to happen where it's like you get sidetracked and you don't really know where your story's going all of a sudden. And even though you had it plotted out, it's like so maybe I would recommend writing it to completion before approaching an artist, and really making sure that this is a story that you love and that you have to see come out. And then I know the time commitment for an artist is massive, as maybe even more massive than a writer, because it's you're spending so many hours at the drawing table.
Right. Yeah. And one thing, like I've written a few things that I've drawn to, like graphic novels, and children's books. That's just usually like a 30-page thing. But yeah, whenever I've done the graphic novels, definitely know where you're going and have the ending in sight. Like know how it's going to end, know how you're going to get there. So you're not just like, oh crap, somebody picked this up. Now I've got to scramble, because next thing you know, you're just writing for Lost or something. Like it's like you didn't think that far ahead. So yeah, no, absolutely, you're right.
So Bigfoot Frankenstein is pretty visually interesting. You sent me a preview copy, and it's awesome. It's out from Action Labs. I encourage everyone to go out and order it. It's in Previews Magazine right now. Can you tell me a little bit about what's the story of this book, and what were some of the characters that you got to design?
Got to design like all of them. Like yeah, Mark was really cool. He's like, yeah, this kind of some ideas, and then I just sort of ran with it, and enough so to where he's like, yeah, dude, we're gonna be billed as co-creators on this. It's like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, it's the story of the great many times great grandson of Dr. Frankenstein, and one day he's just out hiking in the woods, and as you do, he stumbles across a pile of dead Bigfoot Sasquatch things, and so he stitches them together. Happens to have all the parts in the back of his car to build a machine to bring them back to life by harnessing the power of lightning. And a rainstorm later, it's alive, and he's got a new best pal. The two hit the road and try and find the people who were killing all the Sasquatches, and even find some love interests along the way.
So it sounds like a bit of a murder mystery with
right.
with the creature that's been murdered, trying to find who did it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they stumble across monsters along the way too. There's a whole boogeyman thing, some wolf spiders, some kind of mutated, enhanced hillbilly rednecks, and they've got a giant one of them that he fights too, and yeah, even a surprise monster here and there.
Nice. I like monsters fighting monsters. That's that's like my bag, like all day long. So I've read the first issue. It's awesome. I encourage everyone to check it out. So yeah, Bigfoot Frankenstein. It's in Previews Magazine right now. Guys, go down to your local comic book store and ask them to bring that book in for you. It's from Action Lab, so you know it's a quality book. Vernon Smith, I want to thank you for being on Inside Comics, dude. And I'll catch you next time, dude.
All right, cool. Thanks so much.